4 funerals every day. In total, about 1,500 deaths per year statewide. That is the human cost of firearm-related violence in Pennsylvania. Beyond the tragic human toll, which is obviously the most important item with this, there is also a huge cost to taxpayers. Over the last decade, firearm-related injuries cost Pennsylvania taxpayers about $1.5 billion in total healthcare costs. Today, I'm releasing my special report titled A Safer Pennsylvania, a community approach to firearm safety. This report focuses on actions we can take while working within existing laws. And many groups say this, and you know who those groups are, and we can talk a little bit more about that later. Hey, if we just enforce existing laws, when sometimes advocating for not having new laws, and there may be an appropriate time to have that debate about what new laws may or may not need to be added. But under my authority, looking at existing state spending and existing state laws, we focus this report on what can be done in the current legal framework. I'm calling for a community approach to this problem because working together is what will turn things around. We need everyone, law enforcement, advocates, the medical community, and residents to join in a conversation about ways we can reduce violence and improve public safety. When we do talk and listen, it becomes clear that we share many common concerns, and that will be a big step towards finding practical solutions. The first main theme I want us to focus on in this report is erasing the stigma around mental health treatment. Mass shootings, like last month's tragedy at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh, obviously the Squirrel Hill neighborhood, understandably attract the most media attention. And as someone that grew up in that neighborhood and knew some people involved in that, I certainly understand why. However, such crimes account for less than 1% of all firearm fatalities in Pennsylvania each year. Whenever there's a mass shooting, we often hear it's not about guns, it's about mental health issue. So let's talk about mental health. My report calls for the state to expand access to mental health services and to launch a public awareness campaign to end the stigma that may prevent some people from seeking help. As the governor and I learned from our school safety task force, adults and students alike reported difficulty in accessing mental health services. Expanding access to services could go a long way toward curbing violence and saving lives. My report has several recommendations related to prevention. We need doctors and firearm sellers to know how to spot the signs of someone who may be at risk. Sometimes just having a short conversation can save a life or numerous lives. Pennsylvania should create a volunteer training programs on the safe use and storage of firearms. The Game Commission, which already offers hunters safety courses, might be the best resource for coordinating this type of training. This is especially critical in households with children, as nearly 15% of Pennsylvania students surveyed in 2017 said it would be at least somewhat easy for them to get a handgun. In rural areas, the number was even higher. The total cost over the last 10 years has been about $1.5 billion. So spending $4 million or hopefully even more in the next state budget can go a long way towards not only saving lives, but also reducing that financial cost. I am urging the governor to sign an executive order requiring the state police to issue a monthly report on firearms traced from crimes. This will help track lost and stolen guns. I'd also like to see the state police implement the lethality assessment program, which quickly connects domestic violence victims with services right at the scene. This is important because in 2017, more than 2/3 of the 117 Pennsylvanians killed in domestic violence incidents were fatally shot. The state should also secure funding to increase participation in a national network that uses bullets to connect multiple crimes to a single firearm. This system, the National Integrated Ballistic Information Network, is considered to be better than fingerprinting in helping investigators connect specific bullets to specific guns. Our sheriffs can and should do a thorough reference check as part of the background checks they must perform for concealed carry permit applicants. In Bucks County, the new sheriffs, and under the leadership of the new sheriff, the sheriff's office has begun to do just that and has started prosecuting applicants who provided false information on their applications. Sheriffs across Pennsylvania should do the same in every single county. I have been told by numerous people that have gotten their background, their concealed carry permits, that sometimes they are able to get this permit inside of a half an hour. And that is because the sheriffs are not, let me repeat, are not doing the reference checks. Why have the system if it's not going to be followed? Now, I want you to hear directly from some of the people who contributed this report, and we're going to play a brief video.
Education is key for safety so that people can be informed. You see a firearm, you presume that it's loaded, always. Don't ever presume that a firearm is safe. It's only safe when you inspect it and clear it and make sure that it's safe.
I've taught gun safety for over the last 40 years with young scouts, trying to get them comfortable around a weapon and how to use it safely, and the first thing you talk about is safety.
In my house, safe storage is of utmost importance for a couple of different reasons. I don't want any of my family members, children or adults, to accidentally pick one up and fire it or have it go off. I mean, it doesn't go off by itself, but they might be just experimenting with it or playing with it. I also want to make sure that all my guns are safely stored because I wouldn't want anyone to break in and take them and have them end up out on the street.
Guns should never be stored loaded in the household. And the guns should be locked, and the ammunition should be locked separately from them.
There's an old saying, it's called learn, practice, repeat. Using a gun is a diminishing skill. If you don't use it, you start to lose the ability to be good at it. And if you're going to own one, you should always be working on it. There is no such thing as too much practice.
Owning a firearm is a constitutional right, but I tell people, along with the right to keep and bear arms comes with responsibilities that you need to live up to. Purchasing a firearm, whether it's a rifle, shotgun, or a handgun, there's a lot of things that you need to know. And so ignorance of the law is not an excuse.
I think that every gun owner should have respect for their weapon, no matter what it is. And I think that every person should be taught respect for guns.
You mentioned 1.5 billion. Yeah.
Isn't that federal money?
No, I'm talking about the healthcare cost to Pennsylvania over the last 10 years.
Reversing the hospital.
Well, it could be Medicaid too, depending on the circumstances. It's still, I